Hi, I'm Tim and welcome to part 4 of my Home Assistant series for 2026. Now, if you have been watching and following along, then you'll know in part 3 we did a video on how to set up a Zigbee USB dongle in Home Assistant with ZHA, which is Zigbee Home Automation. Well, as an alternative, in this video, which is part 4, we're going to be installing the Zigbee USB dongle, not with Zigbee Home Assistant, but with ZBDongle-P as an alternative. So if you want to know how to install a Zigbee USB dongle with ZBDongle-P, then keep watching this video and we'll get right to it now. So here we are at the computer and I've already logged into Home Assistant. As you'll see, we're at the overview dashboard. Now, just to confirm, this is, if you're following along, then you'll know that this is running on a Ugreen NAS as a virtual machine. But if you're using it on, say, standalone hardware, then the next part you won't need to do, and I'll tell you when to restart if you're not using a virtual machine. Now, also in the second tab of my internet browser here, I've logged in to my Ugreen NAS, which you'll need to do if you're using it on a virtual machine, and you need to open up Virtual Machine Manager. Then what we need to do is click on the 3 dots next to the virtual machine that you're running Home Assistant on. So then select Settings, then go to Advanced, and then under the USB controller you should have USB 3.0, and then the USB device you need to click Add, and then from the drop down list select the Zigbee dongle. So in this case I'm using a Sonoff Zigbee 3.0 USB Dongle Plus. So select it, and with the tips window click OK and then click Apply. What this is doing is passing through the USB Zigbee dongle, so the USB port will be passed through from the actual hardware, so the Ugreen NAS, to the virtual machine. So once you've done that, you can then log out of your Ugreen NAS or whichever NAS you're using, close that tab, and then in the previous tab, you'll see in the summaries here, we've now got device discovered. So what we need to do now that the device has been discovered, which will be the Sonoff Zigbee Dongle Plus, so to check this, just click on device discovered, and you'll see that we've got the Sonoff Zigbee Dongle Plus appeared. So close that window with the X. Then what we need to do is install Mosquitto Broker. So to install Mosquitto Broker, go to Settings, Apps, and then select Install App. And then in the search box, just type in MOSQ, and you should then get the search result for Mosquitto Broker. So select Mosquitto Broker, select Install, then with the Start on Boot, make sure that that's turned blue. And also for Watchdog, click the slider to turn that blue and then select Start. Then once you've done that, you can then go to Settings again at the bottom left corner and then select Apps again and then select Install App, and then in the search box type in Zig and you should get ZBDongle-P appeared. Now if you haven't, it means that you haven't added the ZBDongle-P repository into Home Assistant. Now, I showed you how to do that in part 2 of the video series. So if you check out part 2, then I show you how to add the ZBDongle-P repository. So once you've got the repository added, you can then select ZBDongle-P, then select the Install button, and just wait for ZBDongle-P to be installed. Then, once it's been installed, you'll see we get the Start on Boot option. So make sure that that's blue, and then for Watchdog you need to turn that blue, and then for Show in Sidebar click the slider to turn that blue. Now that we've done that, we don't need to start it yet, but what we're going to do is select Settings at the bottom left corner, then we're going to select System and then Hardware, and then select All Hardware. Then what you need to do is scroll down until you see USB. So that should be at the bottom, and you'll see we've got TTY USB 0. So this confirms and tells you what USB port the Zigbee dongle is connected to. So you'll see in my case it's connected to TTY USB 0, but yours might be different. But what you want to do is just check it and make sure that you're selecting the TTY USB for the one that your Zigbee dongle is connected to. So what we're going to do is click the arrow, and then you will see we get some further information. So we get subsystem and then device path. So what we need to do is for device path, we need to highlight the dev TTY. So all of those characters after device path in that same line, highlight them and then copy that text. Then we can exit hardware and then go back to settings and then select apps and then select Zigbee to MQTT. And then at the top, we need to select configuration. Then once you're in the configuration screen, we need to open up the serial option. So click in the serial line here and it will reveal port, adapter and baud rate. So in port, you need to click in that line and then paste in the dev TTY USB and the USB port number. So as I said, in my case, it's USB 0. And then for adapter, what you need to do is either type in ZStack or Ember. Now, how do you know which one to type in? Well, at the end of this video, I'm putting up a list of various adapters and it will tell you whether they're Ember or ZStack type adapters. Now, the other alternative is you can go to the manufacturer's website, for example, Sonoff, go to their website and look up the specifications for the Zigbee adapter, and it should tell you whether it's got a ZStack or Ember chipset in it. Now, I know in my instance that I'm using a Sonoff Zigbee Dongle Plus and it's a ZStack. So what you need to do in the adapter line is type in ZStack, so that all lowercase, and then in the baud rate, you need to type in 115200. So that should be 115,200 without any commas, full stops. Then once you've typed in those three items in the serial section, you can then click save. And then what we're going to do, now that we've typed in the information and click save, we're going to go to the info tab at the top and then select start. So this will then start Zigbee to MQTT onboarding process. So it will not start Zigbee to MQTT fully, but it will start the onboarding process. So then what we need to do at the left hand side, you'll see we've got Zigbee to MQTT appeared under to-do list. So select Zigbee to MQTT. And then once you've clicked on Zigbee to MQTT on the left hand side, you'll be presented with the Zigbee to MQTT onboarding. Now under coordinator stroke adapter and devices found, you need to click in that box and select the Zigbee Dongle Plus. Then once you've done that, you can then click on the submit button and then you will get a message saying Zigbee to MQTT onboarding, settings saved, Zigbee to MQTT is now starting. So just wait for the redirect to count down the timer and you'll see we've got 12, 11, 10 and so on. So we'll just wait for that to finish and you'll see that we get localhost refused to connect. So what we now need to do is restart Home Assistant. So to do this, go to settings at the bottom left corner, select system, and then in the top right corner, select the power button and then select restart Home Assistant. And then with the confirmation window, restart Home Assistant, click the restart button and it will say connection lost, reconnecting, Home Assistant has started. So yours might take a bit longer depending on how much information and add-ons you've got in Home Assistant, etc. So just wait for it to restart and then what you can do at the left hand side is select Zigbee to MQTT and this will then take you in to the Zigbee to MQTT screen where you can add your devices. So your Zigbee devices, for example, smart plugs, smart bulbs, sensors and so on, which are all running Zigbee into Home Assistant. So to add the devices, all you would need to do is click on Permit Join and then connect your device. So power it on, for example, power on your bulb, power on the spark plug, and then it should automatically appear in this recent activity list here. And once it's been detected and added, you can then select the disable join button here. So click it to stop to adopt devices. So that's how easy it is to use a USB Zigbee adapter with Zigbee to MQTT instead of ZHA, which is Zigbee Home Automation. So if you prefer Zigbee to MQTT, then you can use this, or if you prefer ZHA, then you can refer to the previous video, which was part 3. Hope you found this video useful. Hope you're liking this series, and thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with more videos and of course more episodes in this video series. So take care, bye for now.